Hey everyone, and welcome to Quick Biblical Thoughts. Today we're going to take a look at a single powerful sentence from Jesus, one you've probably heard a million times, and really unpack the huge kingdom lesson that's tucked right inside of it. You see, we're looking at a moment that is so much more than just a sweet story about Jesus and some kids. It's actually a key that unlocks how we understand God's kingdom and how it really works. So let's just start with the words themselves.
There it is. So simple, right? But it's absolutely revolutionary. And to really get the full weight of what Jesus is saying here, we have to understand the context. Like, what was happening in the room right before he said this?
And you know, as it so often happens in the Gospels, one of Jesus' most important teachings comes right after his closest followers completely, totally miss the point. So let's set the scene together.
Okay, so picture this. You've got these parents, and they're eagerly bringing their kids to Jesus. They're not even asking for a big miracle, just a touch, a blessing. But the disciples, they step in. They're trying to be good bodyguards, managing Jesus' important schedule, so they just shut it all down. They rebuke the parents, but Jesus sees it, and his response is immediate. It's sharp. It's a command that just completely flips their whole idea of what's important upside down.
And this is where the moment shifts from just a simple interaction to a full-on masterclass about the kingdom of God. See, Jesus doesn't just welcome the children, he puts them front and center. He uses them as Exhibit A for what he's about to teach. He's literally handing us a key.
So the big question we have to ask is, why? Why children? Out of all the people he could have chosen, why did Jesus point to a child and say, that, right there, that's what the kingdom of heaven is all about? What did he see in them?
Now, this is a super important distinction. Jesus isn't praising childishness, immaturity or being silly. He's praising a childlike approach. Think about it. Children don't come to Jesus with a resume. They're not trying to perform or prove that they're worthy. They just come with open arms, total dependence, and this simple, uncomplicated trust.
And let's be crystal clear about this. This was not Jesus giving out some good parenting tips. This was Jesus revealing a fundamental, unchangeable law of spiritual reality. He was showing us the one and only way we're supposed to come into God's presence.
And this just lays out the contrast perfectly, doesn't it? So often we think we need to approach God from that column on the left. Armed with our titles, our accomplishments, making sure our behavior is all polished up. But Jesus just flips that whole script. He says the real currency of the kingdom is everything you see on the right. Humility, raw trust, complete dependence, and that unguarded openness you see in a child.
Okay, so once we understand that, the lesson kind of stops being about the disciples way back then, and it points right at us, here, now. And this story really leaves us with two big questions we've got to wrestle with.
So, first the personal one. Are we still coming to Jesus with that simple, trusting heart, or over the years, have we let our faith become more about performance, about looking the part? Have we complicated this beautiful, simple invitation to just come to him? Our culture tells us that to be mature, you have to grow out of childlike things. But Jesus gives us this radical new idea. True spiritual maturity isn't about growing out of childlike faith. It's about growing deeper into it.
And here's the second question. And honestly, this one can be a little more challenging. It's the one that looks outward. The disciples became a barrier. Are we? Through our traditions, our judgments, our unspoken rules, are we, maybe without even meaning to, getting in the way of someone else who's trying to find their way to Jesus? That's a question worth really sitting with for a minute.
So as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with just one final thought to carry with you this week, a way to maybe put this kingdom key into practice in your own life.
No, really, take a second and think about this. What would actually change for you this week if you decided to just drop the performance, to take off the mask? No complicated rituals, nothing fancy, just simple, open-handed trust. What would that look like for you?
Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. I really hope this closer look at such a familiar story has given you some fresh encouragement.
And as you go, just remember this truth. In Jesus' arms, you're never too small, you're never too late, and you're never, ever turned away. So let your heart come too.